They called it uninhabitable, until humans built cities there. The resilient few. The acid rain pelted the observation dome like tiny bullets, each droplet leaving microscopic etch marks on the transparent carbonite. Dr. Nadia Volkov watched the crimson clouds swirl above, her reflection superimposed over the violent meteorological display. Behind her, the bustling command center of Haven Depths hummed with activity, a testament to human perseverance that shouldn't exist. 5 years, she whispered, pressing her palm against the reinforced dome. 5 years since they said we'd all be dead. The Intergalactic Council had classified Xerion 9 as Class 0 viability, for good reason. Surface temperatures fluctuated between scalding 60 degrees C days and minus 40 degrees C nights. The atmosphere contained enough fluorine compounds to dissolve conventional breathing apparatus within hours. Seismic activity registered at least 6 major events daily. The entire planet seemed designed to reject life. "Admiring your handiwork again, Doc?" Captain Joquin Reyes approached, his weathered face bearing the distinctive reddish patches that all long-term Xerion residents developed, affectionately called dust kisses by the colony. Nadia turned, tucking a strand of silver-streaked black hair behind her ear. "Just thinking about probability, Joquin. By the Council's calculations, our survival chance was 0.0003%. Now we're hosting alien tourists." "Speaking of which," Joquin gestured toward the elevator shaft, "Ambassador Thelkar's shuttle just docked. The Vraxian Consortium apparently doesn't believe our quarterly reports." "Let them see for themselves," Nadia smiled. "Maybe they'll finally stop calling us the lucky aberration." The mining vessel, Horizon Seeker, had never intended to discover Xerion 9. A navigation error during a routine asteroid belt extraction had sent them spiraling toward the forbidden planet. The emergency landing had destroyed the ship beyond repair, stranding 47 humans on a world that should have killed them before help could arrive. But humans, as Captain Reyes often said, were stubborn as hell with a dash of crazy. The elevator hummed as it descended 3 kilometers beneath the deadly surface. At first, the survivors had sheltered in the ship's hull, but Nadia's breakthrough with the localized atmospheric converters had allowed them to expand. The discovery of vast caverns beneath the planet's crust had provided the space they needed. "Captain on deck," called out Communications Officer Terk Hassan as Joquin entered the command center. The formal announcement was unnecessary. Haven Depths operated on mutual respect rather than rigid hierarchy, but old habits from their mining days remained. "Status report," Joquin asked, accepting a data pad from Terk. "Geothermal Plant 2 is online and functioning at 94% efficiency. Agricultural Dome B reports successful cultivation of the adapted wheat strain. Construction of the new residential sector remains on schedule," Terk reported. "Oh, and Zara is demanding to see you. Again." Joquin suppressed a smile. "Let me guess, she found another absolutely world-changing crystal formation." "Actually," came a voice from the doorway, "this time it really is world-changing." Zara Akafer strode into the command center, her tall frame covered in the distinctive blue-black dust of Xerion's deeper caves. The geologist carried a sealed container that emitted a faint purple glow. Despite her Nigerian heritage providing some natural protection against Xerion's harsh radiation, she still bore the characteristic adaptation marks. Her eyes had developed a slight purple tint that enhanced vision in the caverns. "The crystalline formations I found last month," Zara placed the container on the central table. "They're not just energy conductors, they respond to thought patterns." Nadia's scientific curiosity immediately overshadowed everything else. "Psychoactive crystals? That's impossible. The Council's encyclopedia lists only 3 known instances in the entire galaxy, and they're all from the Sagittarius arm." "For now," Zara corrected with undisguised pride, "and ours are more responsive than the Moldovan variety. Watch." She opened the container and extracted a crystal the size of her palm. Holding it before her, she closed her eyes in concentration. The crystal's purple glow intensified, and slowly it began to levitate above her hand. "Fascinating," breathed Nadia. "The implications for our technology." "The implications for why the Council really classified this planet as uninhabitable," Joquin interrupted, his expression darkening. "Resources this valuable don't just get overlooked." The moment was interrupted by the arrival of Ambassador Thelkar. The Vraxian's tall, slender form required a specialized environmental suit to withstand even Haven Depth's adapted atmosphere. 6 dark eyes blinked independently, taking in the humans and the floating crystal. Ah, the translator on the ambassador's suit converted the series of clicks and whistles into English. I see you've discovered another reason my colleagues are so interested in your little survival story. The diplomatic reception had been prepared in the central atrium, the pride of Haven Depths. What had begun as a simple survival necessity had evolved into an architectural marvel. Bioluminescent plants, adapted by botanist Darien Park from native Xerian flora, lined walkways spiraling around a central column of flowing water. The water itself was recycled from the acidic rain, purified through a filtration system that had made Nadia's reputation even before the crash. Remarkable, Ambassador Thelkar commented, observing the bustling community. From 47 survivors to nearly 500 in 5 years, your reproductive capabilities are impressive. Most are newcomers, explained Joquin. Once we established consistent communication with the mining corporation, we had volunteers lining up. Turns out there are plenty of humans who consider Uninhabitable to be a challenge rather than a warning. The ambassador's 6 eyes blinked in what the humans had learned was an expression of skepticism. And the environment suits. My reports indicated your materials science wasn't advanced enough to withstand Xerian's atmosphere. They weren't, Nadia acknowledged, so we adapted ourselves instead. She rolled up her sleeve, revealing the network of fine, silver lines beneath her skin, the nanobiotic interface that allowed humans to process small amounts of Xerian's toxic atmosphere. Limited exposure is now possible. We're working on Generation 3, which should allow surface excursions of up to 2 hours. As they toured the facility, engineer Orson Blackwell joined them, explaining the geothermal tap system that provided unlimited energy to the settlement. His artificial leg, a necessity after the crash, had been enhanced with local materials, giving him surprising agility on the uneven cavern floors. The seismic activity that makes the surface so unstable is our greatest asset down here, Orson explained. Unlimited energy means unlimited possibilities. The tour culminated in the newest addition to Haven Depths, a massive garden dome where Darien Park was cultivating hybrid Earth-Xerian plants. The air was noticeably different here, richer in oxygen and filled with the scent of growing things. These shouldn't exist, Ambassador Thelkar said, examining a blue-veined fruit that resembled an apple. Our botanical analysis indicated that Earth flora would be incompatible with Xerian's soil composition. They were, Darien confirmed, his gentle voice contrasting with his imposing physical presence. Until we introduced modified mycorrhizal fungi as intermediaries. The fungi process the minerals, the plants process the fungi's byproducts. We process the plants, circle of life just with a few extra steps. Later that evening, as preparations for the 5-year anniversary celebration continued, Joquin found Nadia in her laboratory, examining the psychoactive crystal. Thelkar requested a private channel to the council, he informed her. Whatever we've built here has them worried. Nadia nodded, unsurprised. We're upsetting the natural order of things, Joquin. Species like ours aren't supposed to thrive where the council says we can't. Do you regret it, staying behind when the first rescue ships came? She looked around at the laboratory where she'd made breakthrough after breakthrough, advances that would have taken decades on Earth with its regulations and ethical committees. Not for a second, though I do wonder what we're really sitting on top of. Joquin's expression grew serious. Zara's been mapping anomalies in the deeper caverns, regular patterns that don't match natural formation. And there's something else. She's detected energy signatures that predate our arrival. You think someone was here before, on a planet classified as uninhabitable for the past 3,000 years. I think, Joquin said cautiously, that tomorrow's celebration might be our last peaceful day for a while. The Council's sending an investigative team, official designation, threat assessment. Outside, the acid rain continued to fall, etching patterns into the observation dome. But below, in the warm lights of Haven Depths, humans danced, worked, loved, and prepared, as they always had, to face whatever challenge came next. None of them noticed the faint purple glow emanating from the deepest tunnels, where no human had yet explored. None except Zara Akaffer, who slipped away from the preparations, drawn by a call only she could hear, toward a discovery that would change everything. Part 2, Beneath the Surface. 8 years after the crash of the Horizon Seeker, Haven Depths had transformed from a desperate survival outpost into a thriving network of underground cities. What began as a single cavern settlement had expanded into 3 interconnected metropolises: Haven Depths, Nova Terran, and Obsidian Ridge, collectively known as the Zirian Trilogy. Engineer Ryuji Tanaka stood at the edge of the newest biosphere, watching as his latest creation took form. Workers guided massive living structures, part building, part organism, into place along the eastern wall of Obsidian Ridge. The bioarchitecture pulsed with internal light, veins of bioluminescence running through walls that could heal themselves and adapt to the ever-shifting seismic reality of Zirian 9. "Beautiful, isn't it?" said a voice beside him. "Like watching coral grow, but at 1,000 times the speed." Ryuji turned to find Freya Lindholm, lead botanist since Darien Park's departure to Earth as their ambassador. Her pale blonde hair was streaked with the purple tint that came from working with the adapted Zirian flora, and her eyes had the characteristic silver flecks of long-term residents. "The council representatives arrived an hour ago," she continued, her Swedish accent more pronounced when she was stressed. "They're not even trying to hide their suspicion this time." Ryuji sighed, running a hand through his short black hair. 8 years we've been here, transforming a death trap into something magnificent, and they still treat us like we've broken some cosmic law by surviving. "Haven't we, though?" Freya smiled wryly. "Their perfect catalog of habitable and uninhabitable worlds, the foundation of their authority on colonization rights, undone by a bunch of stubborn humans who refused to die on schedule." A distant rumble shook the cavern, causing loose pebbles to rain down from above. Neither human flinched. Minor tremors were so common on Zirian 9 that they barely registered anymore. "That wasn't seismic," Ryuji noted, checking his wrist monitor. "Zara's team is expanding the deep tunnels again. She's obsessed with those energy signatures." In the main administrative hub of Haven Depths, Captain Joaquin Reyes, now Governor Reyes, faced the Intergalactic Council's special investigator across a conference table carved from polished Zirian stone. Even after all these years, Joaquin maintained his military bearing, though silver now dominated his once black hair. "Investigator Mockstar," Joaquin acknowledged with careful diplomacy, "you've come a long way to inspect our little community." The investigator's species was unknown to most humans, one of the Council's inner circle races that rarely interacted with frontier species like humanity. Mockstar's translucent skin revealed shadowy organs poolsing beneath, and 3 sets of arms folded precisely on the table. "This is no inspection, Governor Reyes," the investigator's translator rendered the musical tones into flat English. "The Council has reclassified this situation from anomalous survival to potential security threat." Dr. Nadia Volkov, seated beside Joaquin, raised an eyebrow. At 62, she remained the scientific heart of the colony, though she'd long since trained dozens of younger researchers in her adaptation technologies. "A threat," she echoed. "We're barely 8,000 humans on a planet you classified as uninhabitable. How exactly do we threaten the Council?" Mockstar's skin flushed amber, a reaction the humans couldn't interpret. "Your colony ships arrive monthly now. Your population growth exceeds projections. You've developed technologies that should be beyond your capabilities. And most concerning, you're delving into areas of this planet that are restricted." "Restricted?" Joaquin leaned forward. "Your own classification listed this entire planet as off-limits. You can't declare parts of an uninhabitable world as extra uninhabitable." Before Mockstar could respond, the conference room door slid open. Security Chief Liam Donovan entered, his expression grave. The former military officer had joined the colony 3 years after the crash, bringing valuable expertise in defensive systems. "Sorry to interrupt," Liam said, his Irish accent still strong despite years away from Earth, "but we have a situation in the deep tunnels. Zara's team has broken through to some kind of structure." Across the colony in Obsidian Ridge, Zara Akaffer stood transfixed before a massive door. Not a natural formation, not a trick of geology, but an unmistakable construct. A perfect arch twice the height of a human, covered in symbols that pulsed with the same purple light as the psychoactive crystals. "How old?" she whispered to her assistant, Rafael Cortez, who was scanning the structure with trembling hands. "The dating equipment can't. It's giving impossible readings," Rafael replied. "Either it's malfunctioning or this structure predates the Council's existence." Zara pressed her palm against the cool surface of the door. The symbols brightened at her touch, and a subtle vibration ran through the stone. "Get the governor," she ordered, never taking her eyes from the door. "And Dr. Volkov, they need to see this before the council representatives do." But it was already too late. Behind them, the distinctive sound of an environmental suit's ventilation system announced the arrival of others. Zara turned to find investigator Mockstar, flanked by two council security officers, their weapons not quite pointed at the humans, but certainly not holstered. "Step away from the precursor structure, geologist Okafor," Mockstar commanded. "You have no authorization to access this technology." "Precursor," Zara didn't move. "You know what this is." "The Council has always known what lies beneath Zirian 9's surface," came the cool reply. "Why do you think this world was classified as uninhabitable?" The confrontation in the deep tunnel escalated quickly. Governor Reyes, Dr. Volkov, and Security Chief Donovan arrived just as Mockstar was attempting to place Zara under council custody for unauthorized access to restricted technology. "This stops now." Joquin's voice carried the authority of someone who had faced down death on a daily basis for 8 years. "Zirian 9 is a human settlement, recognized by 17 independent galactic entities. You have no jurisdiction here, investigator." Mockstar's skin flushed deep crimson. "This planet was quarantined for a reason, Governor. The precursor technology beneath your colony is unstable and dangerous. The Council has contained similar sites across 12 systems." "Contained or exploited?" Nadia challenged. "Because our research suggests these crystals could revolutionize energy production across the galaxy. Quite valuable, I'd imagine." The standoff might have continued, but at that moment, the mysterious door began to change. The symbols glowed brighter, and a low hum filled the tunnel. Everyone fell silent as the massive portal began to slide open for the first time in what might have been millennia. "It's responding to our presence," Zara whispered, "to humans specifically." What lay beyond the door would change humanity's understanding of both their past and their future. A vast chamber opened before them, filled with technology far beyond even the Council's development. At its center stood a holographic projection, a message left by the precursors, the legendary species that had vanished from the galaxy long before any current civilization arose. The message was clear, despite being transmitted through technology older than humanity itself. The precursors had seeded compatible worlds with their genetic material billions of years ago. Earth had been one such world. Humans were not just another species. They were the closest genetic descendants of the precursors themselves. "This is why the Council classified Zirian 9 as uninhabitable," Liam realized aloud. "They found this chamber and understood what it meant if humans ever discovered their connection to the precursors." "We would have claimed to their technology," Ryuji finished, having arrived with Freya during the confrontation. "Technology that could shift the balance of power in the galaxy." Mockstar's translator couldn't capture the complex emotions evident in the investigator's constantly shifting skin colors. "The Council has maintained peace for 12,000 years by carefully controlling technological development across species. The precursor technology is too dangerous to be controlled by any single species, especially one as unpredictable as humans." The next few hours brought intense negotiation. The human leadership, Joquin, Nadia, Zara, Liam, Ryuji, and Freya, formed a united front against Mockstar's demands to evacuate the planet and surrender the precursor site to Council control. "We propose a compromise," Joquin finally offered. "Zirian 9 becomes a joint research station, human-administered but with Council observers. All discoveries are shared across species. No single government gets exclusive access." "Your species isn't ready for this responsibility," Mockstar insisted. Nadia laughed softly. "We weren't ready to survive on an uninhabitable planet either, yet here we stand." In the end, necessity forced compromise. The Council couldn't forcibly remove 8,000 humans without causing a diplomatic crisis with Earth and its allies. The humans, despite their discovery, recognized they needed the Council's broader scientific expertise to safely explore the precursor technology. 1 year later, Zirion 9 had been officially reclassified as a special research territory. The human settlements continued to grow, now joined by scientific delegations from 27 species. The mysterious door had led to dozens more chambers, each revealing another piece of the ancient precursor's legacy. On the 10th anniversary of the crash of the Horizon Seeker, Governor Joaquin Reyes stood on a newly constructed observation platform on Zirion 9's hostile surface. His environmental suit, the latest generation of Nadia's adaptation technology, allowed him to withstand the caustic atmosphere for up to 6 hours. Beside him, Dr. Nadia Volkov watched the sunrise turn the acidic clouds brilliant shades of orange and red. Not bad for a planet where we were all supposed to die, The Council representatives still hate that we call it New Opportunity City, Joaquin remarked, gesturing to the massive transparent dome now rising from the planet's surface, their first above-ground settlement. They'll adapt, Nadia smiled behind her breather mask. That's what intelligent life does. Below the surface, in the precursor chambers, Zara Akafer and a mixed team of human and alien researchers activated another ancient console. A new hologram flickered to life, star charts showing hundreds of other precursor sites scattered across the galaxy. Sites on worlds long written off as uninhabitable. You know what this means? Zara asked her colleagues. A Vraxian researcher, the same species as the first ambassador who had visited their fledgling colony, fluttered his sensory membranes in what humans now recognized as excitement. It means, the Vraxian replied, that humans are going to force the Council to rewrite their precious classification system. No, Zara corrected with a smile, it means the galaxy is a lot more habitable than anyone thought. We just needed to learn to adapt rather than expect worlds to adapt to us. As if in response, the psychoactive crystals throughout the chamber pulsed with purple light. Not just reacting to presence anymore, but to potential. The potential of species working together to uncover the legacy left for them all. On a view screen in the chamber, they could see the first civilian transport ship from Earth descending toward the new spaceport. Hundreds of new colonists arriving, not desperate survivors or hardened scientists this time, but families seeking a new beginning on a world that had once been called uninhabitable. A world that humans had transformed through sheer determination, ingenuity, and the defining characteristic that had carried them to the stars, the stubborn refusal to accept limitations placed upon them, even by the universe itself.